What is the coolest thing that the human body does? Story 1. It allows a fart to evacuate around a poop that's nearing the exit hole. A gas can pass around and uninterrupt a solid in your jerk without mess. Wild stuff, edit judging from the responses. Many of you may have undiagnosed IBS or Crohn's just saying, or ate some spicy burritos last night. Story 2. Your eyes don't give you a perfect picture of reality. They send bits of info, and your brain fakes the rest. It edits out your blind spots, flips the upside-down image, fills in blurry peripheral vision with guesses, and even predicts the future by a split second so you feel in sync. You're basically walking around inside a brain-generated VR. Story 3. I haven't seen a single comment about the uniquely high endurance humans have compared to other animals. We survived as endurance hunters chasing animals, not with our speed, but by walking them to passing by, following them until they were too tired to continue walking. Take any average healthy man and put him up against the elephant to see how far they can get before their body physically can't handle it, and the person will go way farther. Answer. Kinda how we learn to survive as hunters, just by exhausting animals. Most were too fast, sprinting, or too big for hand-to-hand combat, so we just decided to hunt in small packs with spears and just tire an animal out. Probably pretty darn terrifying. Imagine you're an elephant or mammoth and like 10 dudes with spears keep hitting spears into you. You might take out or injure one or two, but then a spear hits you so you run. You get away for like 10 minutes, but these darn humans catch up. Repeat the mini fight and then run again. This goes on for hours or days, but you have thick skin, so can survive some of the damage. Eventually, you're all out of energy and just collapse, as these annoying skinny fudge have been following you and stabbing you for like 2 days. Story 4. Heal 100. I broke my ulna, left arm bone, in April. 2 nights in hospital, in Thailand, alone, with no tie. Surgery, 13 stitches, 2 screws. I am 63F, 52 kilos, 161 weeks. Thought it was going to be a long road to get better. In a month with strict rehab at home, following instructions, I was 50 back to full movement, gym workouts and pool swims, 50 me x 18 laps. Just couldn't pull myself out on the pool ladder, so had to use the pool with the steps in and out. 3.5 months later, I would never have known I broke my arm. Our bodies are amazing. Story 5. I've always found the ability to stand upright pretty wild. We're relatively tall and top-heavy, and our feet aren't very big. The amount of brain processing required to keep that shape upright, let alone do something like dancing or ice skating, just seems insane to me. Your brain is doing countless little micro-adjustments constantly whenever you're standing, and yet it feels completely effortless. Story 6. Sweat. It's fairly unique to humans, at least to the degree we're able to regulate our temperature. This, along with bipedalism, is what makes us the greatest endurance hunters in the animal kingdom. All this without acknowledging our ability to share imagined realities, i.e., religion, laws, rights, companies, cooperate adaptably in large social groups, or to use logical reasoning and executive function. Story 7. Dreaming. The body is like, not only am I going to repair your cells while you sleep, I'll also keep you entertained with this trippy, absurdist, avant-garde art house movie I created just for you. Story 8. Secretes copious amounts of mucus in response to tree and grass jizz. It's not really cool and I dislike it, but it never ceases to amaze me how fast it can replenish it. Blow your nose, and 10 seconds later it's completely full again. Rinse and repeat for hours. Where is this shoot coming from? Story 9. Having babies. Like, literally, this is impressive. A single cell becomes a whole human in 9 months. It has a brain, walks, learns. Nature is a clockwork. Story 10. One of the most amazing things about the human body is the brain's neuroplasticity. Even as adults, our brains are capable of forming new neural connections, adapting to change, and learning new things. This means that we are constantly changing and growing, regardless of our age or circumstances. This flexibility of the nervous system is a unique trait that sets us apart from many other species. Story 11. Breastfeeding. Your milk changes as baby grows to give them the additional nutrients they need, which is why bulk freezing is actually silly unless you have a plan when to use it or if you are giving it away. It will also adjust to provide antibodies if baby is sick. Fudge amazing. Story 12. Creating life. Breast milk is also mind-blowing. When a baby latches on, the mom's body reads the baby's needs from the baby's saliva through pheromones and stuff, and produces the milk the baby needs. Breast milk does not have the same composition throughout all the months a baby eats it because the baby's needs change. Breast milk from two moms who have babies of the same age will also not have the same composition. If a baby catches a cold or gets sick, the mom's body will produce milk that helps the baby heal. Breast milk is the most personalized food that exists. Story 13. Might be NSFW or just weird, but arousal. And for females, natural lubrication when we get turned on. Story 14. My wife generated two fully functional, completely operational human beings out of like a teaspoon of goo and a bunch of food. They popped out of her hoo-ha, and when it was over, she claimed that it was, and I quote, not really painful, just sort of uncomfortable, end of quote. I'm going with that. Story 15. The placebo effect. It's not just thinking you feel better. Your brain, through pure belief, can create real, measurable physiological changes in your body. If you believe a sugar pill is a powerful painkiller, your brain can actually release its own natural opioids, endorphins, to reduce your pain. Your brain can reduce inflammation, lower your heart rate, and ease depression, all because it was tricked into thinking it was getting help. It's literal mind over matter. The fact that our consciousness can directly influence our own biology on that level is, to me, the most powerful and coolest thing a human body can do. It also has an evil twin, the nocebo effect, where believing something will harm you can actually cause negative symptoms. Story 16. The brain in general. A chewed-up wad of proteins made, waves hands around in a maniacal gesture, all this. Story 17. Creating, mostly, at least one mental self that is aware of itself, and next to various other cool stuff, also capable of mapping out a model of the body and pilot the body with its help, mostly, no matter in which form the body had been grown in the first place. I bet if your nervous system would be at least minimal meaningful wired into a spaceship, you even would be able to learn to use and understand it as your own body. In my opinion, the human mind is still one of the most stunning things nature came up with. Story 18. Memory formation. Neurons fire in the same pattern over and over again when a memory is formed until it becomes easier to fire in that same way. So when you access that memory, they activate the same pattern. Memory formation is really cool. Story 19. Skin does a lot of cool stuff. Sweating is actually goated and rare for animals. It gave us an edge as a predator, being able to chase prey for long distances without overheating. Also, the wrinkles that form on your fingers when you're in water for too long are to increase friction, so you can handle stuff in wet conditions without it slipping as much. Story 20. I personally found our immune system quite cool on how it detects pathogens, destroys it, and then creates memory cells of the pathogens. Story 21. No matter what the outside temperature is, your body remains, roughly, the same temperature at all times. Story 22. Your stomach gets a brand new lining every few days, so it doesn't digest itself, which is both amazing and slightly terrifying. Story 23. Allows me to look at any environment with thousands of complex scenarios running through my brain at any given moment to enhance my probability of survival. Story 24. Brain. The comprehension and problem-solving skills mixed with artistic ability and emotions is absolutely astounding. Story 25. Our jerk distinguishing between solid, liquid, and gas. Actually, giving birth is the most amazing thing. Story 26. Glowing. Yes, you glow a faint light all the time. You come from stardust, literally, and you are spinning around the Milky Way center at 100 miles per second, spinning around our sun at 67,000 man-hour ph, spinning around Earth's core at 1,000 man-hours. That's not just cool, that's flat out amazing. Story 27. Usually recognizes and destroys cancer cells. In fact, the body successfully destroys thousands of cancer cells each day. The ones that survive to form malignant tumors are the exception, not the rule. Story 28. How the baby switches to their own CV pulmonary system instead of the mom via the umbilical cord. After taking their first breath when being born, the increase in pulmonary blood flow results in the ductus arteriosus and form an oval to close. It works exactly like a bypass switch from mother support to the baby's own CV lung system. Incredible. Story 29. The ability of the liver to regenerate itself is pretty impressive. Live liver donations are impressive. Story 30. The fact that your brain can literally make up entire movies while you're asleep, complete with plot twists, random cameos, and locations you've never even been to, and you just accept it until you wake up. Story 31. I love to lucid dream so much that I treat it like life dessert and hold off from sleeping until my body can no longer stay awake. Story 32. You actually have 7 senses, not 5. The other 2 are proprioception, detect body movements, and balance. Story 33. The human mind is a very powerful tool. A lot of people don't understand how to use it properly. If you can focus and learn to control your mind, pretty much anything is possible. Habit, for example. Your mind doesn't determine what a good habit and a bad habit is. It just follows and continues to progress in that direction. A lot of humans have become lazy and want the easy way, therefore forming a lot bad habits. Not caring about yourself, losing interest in goals, separating from loved ones, substances, adult beverage, depression, etc. The mind just follows, leading you down a hole of suffering. But you have to understand, you allowed yourself to build and progress on that bad habit. That's why your life is where it's at. Whereas forming good habits, eating good, staying away from substances and adult beverage, working out, reading, learning, training your body, etc., all of that takes work, effort, and consistency. Again, humans have become lazy and want the easy way. Good habits take time, patience, and hard work. But once your mind understands what it wants and where it's going, your body follows, leading to success and happiness. That's just one example of what the human mind can do. There are tons of more ways to understand the human mind and how it can control, adapt, and progress. It's just so sad that humans cannot fully understand themselves and let this amazing tool go to waste. Story 34. Makes insulin as and when the body requires it. No looking at carbs, weighing food before you eat. Your body does this silently in the background. But once your pancreas fails, then you have a lifetime of injecting and monitoring blood sugars. T1 diabetics will testify to this. Story 35. Endurance. We are not super fast, but we can be quick-ish for very long distances and wear down our prey. Story 36. My top favorite coolest things, thumbs. Having the ability to grab and use tools is pretty nice perk of being human. Forethought. The ability to plan for different scenarios and make contingency plans and predict actions other humans and creatures then make plans for those actions is pretty insane. To an animal, humans are borderline clairvoyant, closest thing to having real life force, precognition, or Sharingan. Human agility. Yeah, we can't move fast as quadrupedal animals, and we don't have especially high strength, but we can change directions on a dime. When running, do some impressive acrobatic moves if you trained. Women. Pretty amazing they are. Beautiful, capable, tough as nails to be able to handle childbirth. Couldn't live without them. Men. Pretty amazing too. Strong and firm when need to be. And a gentle giants when taking care of family and friends. World would fall apart without them. Also, male body part are kinda cool how they double or grow 4x the size depending on being a shower or grower, and it doesn't hurt or cause pain. Name any other organ that can expand to that degree and not cause pain or adverse side effects. Story 37. In order to be born, your body makes a pact with passing, and from that moment on, all it tries to do is cheat it. Story 38. Saccadic masking. The brain ignores the visual input during the movement of your eyes between focus points. You're seeing everything when you move your eye from object to object, but it disregards everything in the movement. Otherwise, you'd see everything in motion blur and get motion sick as hell. Story 39. I think the immune system is really cool. It will try to eliminate sickness by adjusting temperature within a range that is uncomfortable for us, but lethal to the bug. Story 40. We are dynamical systems. How do we get energy to do things? We eat food. How do we eat food? Use energy to get it. What? Story 41. The reason that your skin gets wrinkly after extended periods of contact with water is likely so that your hands-feet have more grip on wet surfaces. Absolutely fascinating. Story 42. Heartbeat. Essentially electrical conduction inside your body without plugging it in. Completely wild. Story 43. When a baby is nursing, it transmits information from its immune system to the mother's body, which in turn modifies the milk to contain antibodies to help the baby's immune system. Seriously cool. Story 44. The muscles in your jaw produce enough bite force to shatter your teeth. Your brain actively prevents them from doing that. Story 45. Somehow, the post about farting and pooping took off, but no one has mentioned pregnancy. How about building a new human from nothing? Story 46. Autonomic systems. I don't have to tell my body to breathe, digest, or detoxify itself. It just does it for me. Story 47. Responds to your needs. Lift weights every day, you'll grow muscle. Use a shovel every day, you'll gain calluses. Mothers with sick infants, their mom's immune system responds to the illness and whips up the fix via her milk. Story 48. Visual system. Turns photons of different wavelengths into complex visual scenes with depth, color, and motion. It telescopes the human sense. Our brain captures images from things moving at the speed of light. TF. Story 49. Fine motor movement of hands and fingers all controlled by a couple's dozen puppeteering muscles located mostly outside of the hand. Story 50. It ejaculates words, often multiple times a day. Anyone who's read the Sherlock Holmes stories knows that. Story 51. Being able to resist the force of entropy, capable of breaking apparent galaxies, stars, even black holes, and probably the fabric of our universe. Story 52. Improve itself through exercise. 2 years of Muay Thai and BJJ and 2 years of strength training have done absolute wonders for my strength, energy levels, balance, flexibility, and physique. Story 53. Collateral arteries. When your body suspects a blockage in the arteries, it builds a bypass of vessels to go around it. That's pretty cool. Story 54. It triggers what's called the fight or flight response. effectively preparing the body to fight or flee from the threat. Heart rate and blood pressure increase, breathing quickens, and blood flow is redirected to the muscles, allowing for a quick and efficient response. Story 55. I studied reproductive physiology, and two things are amazing. The engineering of the human male body part is remarkable, and how it is connected through hormones and blood to the brain. The transformation of the female body during ovulation and pregnancy via hormone stimulation to prepare for the gestation of the embryo to a fetus is miraculous. When you consider that we are all basically a walking wet bag of cells, the fact that it all works together unconsciously to make another human is pretty awe-inspiring. Story 56. Not the coolest thing, since most of the super cool things have already been named, but I think it's neat how intensely we can gauge the temperature of something. We can't feel moisture, but we can feel how warm or cool something is relative to how quickly we feel the warmth, cold, and that's how we know when something is wet. It's the reason why sometimes you feel cold clothing and you think it's wet. Story 57. Spontaneous healing. It's a weird phenomenon when it shows up like a miracle that wasn't medically expected at all. Story 58. Digestion is basically the body acting as a matter-to-energy converter, which is what powers everything else the body does. Story 59. Smart enough to remember you forgot something. Too oversaturated with information to remember what you forgot. Can regenerate every single cell in your body every 8-10 years. New decade, new you. Some people can smell disease on others. Story 60. That it can be pain-free. There are so many ways things that can go wrong with our bodies and cause us pain, short or long term. It is simply amazing to me that I can be pain-free. Now that I am 64, there are small aches and pains almost every day. Story 61. Hormones. They basically control your body and mind. If you know how to manage hormones, you can basically biohack yourself. Story 62. There are various automatic reflexes that are crazy cool. Example, nerves that control the muscles that control your eyeball are connected to the biological accelerometers in your inner ear. This helps you smoothly track focus despite head movements without even thinking about it. It's called the doll's eye reflex and can help determine brainstem damage in comatose patients. As you turn the patient's head, the eyes will move opposite the head to stay fixed on a gaze. Story 63. Not just for humans, but the female's ability to create a whole new being inside the body is quite remarkable, I'd say. Story 64. Knowing and having the ability to look back and learn about some of the world and universe it is made of, and to make tools that allows it to see more of the world and universe that its current design and functional specs were intended to. Designed to avoid bears, now we avoid microscopic threats and detect possible interstellar threats we couldn't see before. We also make our own threats too. Story 65. The ability to adapt to different situations. If you have a cut on your finger, it will heal. If you lose a leg, you get a prosthetic leg and relearn to walk again. Story 66. Does not allow you to self-harm yourself. Tragic end. And self-harming is a mental defect. But normally, your mind doesn't allow you to harm yourself in most situations, except in the event of survival. Story 67. Language. Manipulating one muscle, the tongue, and several other parts of the mouth over which we have varying amounts of control, teeth, lips, hard palate, soft palate, larynx, mostly unconsciously, with enough variance to be interesting but not enough to be incomprehensible, is nothing short of amazing. Story 68. I think our immune system is fascinating until it attacks itself, and then it begins to be a nightmare. Story 69. Our skin can convert the ultraviolet radiation in sunlight into a molecule our body needs for absorbing other molecules. Story 70. Personally, I think the ability to regulate the system, that is, if you actually use the tools to do so, you'd be surprised what you can actually survive or achieve depending on what your brain is classifying as survival. If you know how to control your nervous system, or at least help your own nervous system in getting you to the next step. It's like a buddy to the adrenaline your body has. Story 71. ATP synthase literally being a spinning protein powered by proton concentrations. Yes, it actually literally spins. Blew my mind when I first learned about it. Story 72. I've always been a fan of ATP synthesis. It's such a crazy process for every single cell of our body threes to be doing. Story 73. The brain in general. Memory and information storage and retrieval, controlling all your bodily functions, even the ones you may not be aware of or have to think of doing. Your body just does it. The many emotions we are able to express and process shoots so cool. Story 74. The body's ability to adapt is incredible. For example, the brains of blind people can rewire themselves to use their visual cortex to process information from touch and hearing, enhancing those senses. Story 75. The brain essentially self-programs itself. It does this by trimming synapses that are used less often, from birth to adolescence. It determines the most efficient neural pathways on its own, based on what's being used most often. This includes all sensory, motor, and language skills. It's why native speakers of a language are so easily fluent and develop accents during their younger years and then have difficulty shaking the accent when learning another language later in life. It is permanently hardwired. It is why training children from birth in certain skills or sports can create masterful adults. It is also why kids today cannot shake addiction to dopamine they get from interactive screens. Story 76. Your jerk has this sensor that lets gas pass but not shoot. If you are old or super tired, it may make one mistake that one day. But every other fudge day, that thing is saving your social life. Farts matter. Story 77. The fact that, like your mind can physically adapt to situations, different neuron links don't know the whole science behind it. Like whether good or bad, I think it was called brain plasticity. Story 78. The immune system is simply mind-boggling. It has brains and remembers. Like it doesn't see a pathogen for 1,000 years. But somewhere in our DNA, it coded that if you see this, create these little cells that we will then send to the pathogen to attach to it and eliminate them to prevent the entire body from dying. And if we're struggling, we know this pathogen doesn't like heat, so let's just tell the brain to raise the temp up in this meanie until we eliminate it. Oh, this pathogen doesn't like cold. Bring it down, 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 baby. Then it finds a new pathogen and learns how to fight it, and is remarkably successful at that. Plus, we as humans learn to train our own immune systems. This is why vaccination is so important, because some pathogens, measles and COVID-19 are two of them, have the ability to erase the memory of your immune system, which means it has to learn how to fight everything all over again as if you were a newborn, and that is not good. Also, a side note, some cool new technology is out there where researchers are using known pathogens that our body knows how to fight cancers. Some cancers hide in the body because they look like normal cells, and what they do is inject the tumors with known viruses. And then your immune system then finally recognizes that these cells are bad, and it attacks them and eradicates them. It's really cool stuff. Story 79. In the literal sense, sweating. We have the most unique cooling system among all the animal kingdom, and it's a big part of why our endurance is so much better than other animals. Story 80. When the arteries of the heart are becoming clogged, it grows what are called collateral circulation veins as a workaround to find ways of delivering the needed blood to the heart muscle. Story 81. The fact that we don't have to think about our heart beating or our digestive tract working, etc. It just happens. I thought about this one time when I was baked and it freaked me out, lol. Story 82. Autophagy, meaning it starts recycling bad cells and reuses them efficiently. Food fuels both good and bad cells. When you fast anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, you enter it. To reap its benefits, you avoid processed foods and eat meat, eggs, fruits raw. A2 dairy, liver, carrots, avocado, and tomatoes. You'll basically reset your body quite literally. It's super cool. Story 83. Calculate ballistics. With one glance at a moving object, a human can calculate an intercept point to either meet the object or avoid it. Story 84. The fact that they had people on ground zero at Hiroshima and Nagasaki that didn't vaporize and they actually lived and survived after the boom. Story 85. Adrenaline. When our body is in danger, it secretes hormones that prepare it for action. When in enough danger, we can climb faster, run faster, fight harder, lift with amazing strength, and do superhuman feats. I am fully convinced that we aren't alone in the universe. Aliens have tried to visit us, but we are regarded as space goblins by them because of what we can do with our bodies. Story 86. Maintaining the correct pH, temperature, and electrolyte balance despite constantly being affected by diet, exercise, and ambient conditions is an absolute miracle when you really look at it. Just a few degrees above or below normal body temperature, just a few points above or below normal blood pH, just a few too many or too few electrolytes, or too much or little water, and we die so fudge fast. Yet we can survive in extreme heat and cold, prolonged deprivation of adequate food and water, and even the constant inundation of toxins and poisons. Maintaining homeostasis is a feat of nature, and we usually take it completely for granted. Story 87. It's basically a biomechanical marvel, a built-in pressure equalizing system that even provides an audio signal when in operation. Bonus, that depending on the social context, it's either comedy or catastrophe, aka farts. Story 88. Adapts to whatever situation it is in without you telling it to. You will be okay. It will be okay. Story 89. The way it can completely transform itself on the inside and out by what you feed it. You get out what you put in. Story 90. It relies on complex molecules, chemicals, proteins to simply move your finger, let alone manage your entire body. And your body creates all of those. Think about you tapping on your little keyboard on your smartphone. Every thumb move is initiated by a chemical. Robots have wires with electrical signals. We have nerves with chemical signals. And don't get me started on the timing. We can visually process something, and our body can anticipate the action by initiating the action beforehand without us even realizing it. Like blinking when something is about to hit our face, or timing the swinging of a bat to a ball, all while our brains are processing something that has all happened in the past by very small fractions of a second. Story 91. How our brain prunes away synaptic connections we haven't used every night while we sleep, simultaneously strengthening synapses that we used more that day. We truly create our own reality based on our daily actions and activities. Story 92. Makes entirely new, fully functional humans that don't show signs of genetic deterioration that the cells they came from have. Doesn't happen 100% of the time, but the fact that such an unreasonably complex process works most of the time is staggering. Story 93. Inside every living cell in the body is a tiny carousel which converts sugar and oxygen into ATP, energy for the cell. They are called mitochondria, and they are symbiotic organisms living inside us. Basically, our energy source is microbe poop. Story 94. Immune feedback loop between baby and parent. When a baby is breastfeeding, Their saliva can flow back into the nipple in tiny amounts during suckling. If the baby is fighting an infection, like a cold or tummy bug, their saliva contains traces of the pathogen, viruses, bacteria, or immune markers. The parent's body detects these signals and ramps up production of specific antibodies and immune cells targeted to that pathogen. Story 95. Regulate heat. Can you imagine what life would be like if we had to bask in the sun to keep from falling out of trees like iguanas? Story 96. The fact that our fingers create a rib texture when wet is a pretty cool feature. Allows us to have extra grip. Story 97. I'm 22 weeks pregnant, and my pregnancy tracker app tells me I'm currently growing my baby's eyebrows and lashes, so that's pretty cool of my body. Story 98. In survival circumstances, the body shuts off blood flow to the extremities to protect the organs to increase survival likelihood. Story 99. Your immune system can remember past infections for decades, so if the same germ shows up again, it can launch a rapid defense like a built-in security team with a perfect memory. Story 100. Our eyes are pretty incredible. Yeah, other animals like hawks have insane eye capabilities, but the human eye is insane when you learn about it. Story 101. Heal itself after an injury. Never ceases to amaze me. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't lift my right shoulder above elbow height. Today, I played 18 holes of golf. Story 102. The way the immune system defends itself against foreign invader diseases. Even if the invaders take over, the immune system will rebel and reclaim the body and puts itself in position to not let that certain disease ever take over again. Story 103. The recent visibility of trans people has given me a newfound awe for intimacy hormones. Like, I've been through puberty, I understand their impact on the body, but I'd only really understood it in the context of youthful bodies that are already actively growing. And so, intimacy hormones steered a journey that was already occurring. It didn't feel that remarkable in context. But seeing fully adult bodies that have conclusively stopped developing be subjected to intimacy hormones and just go, oh, we're doing this again? Okay, sure, I can do that, is kind of wild. Granted, that's not something the body does on its own, but the fact the potential is there, and we're really just reintroducing more of something it already has is crazy to me. It low-key feels like a pulpy comic book trope of, oh no, it looks like that unexpected blast of gamma radiation has transformed me. To be able to see a body that was by all accounts static undergo such a change. Story 104. The body is a mechanism consisting of many small, useful mechanisms, most of which humanity has not yet been able to repeat. All this appeared by itself without anyone's engineering. That is what cool. Story 105. It's the fingers. I always thought you could just bite your fingers off like carrots or something. A few weeks ago, I was at work and got my pinky caught in an angle grinder. I watched it literally twist over itself like 3 times and wrap itself into the grinding wheel, and it actually stopped the rotation of it. At that moment, I thought I was down to 9 digits, but somehow I didn't break anything. Nothing even broke the skin. It just swelled up to like 3 times its size. And now, almost a month later, I have full mobility. I'm still in shock at how I still have all my fingers. It's crazy how much hits we can take and end up with barely a scratch. Story 106. The ego and self-awareness. We evolved this crazy tool called thinking, and we give ourselves names and cultures and have a concept of a self. We feel so separated, we have to call certain things instinctual, and they're rare and important. Every single other thing moves on instinct. Story 107. Our adaptability, I think. The body reacts to your environment and tries to make it easier for you to survive in a lot of small ways. Even our brains can adapt in the cases of injury, changes in environment like culture or language, or acquiring new skills as they are needed, plus a bunch more. Story 108. I've always loved the liver. It regenerates and detoxifies. One of my favorite organs. Amazing capabilities. Story 109. Your stomach's lining completely regenerates itself every 34 days, so it doesn't digest itself with its own acid. Story 110. When I talk to my daughter, her eyes seem to roll around a lot. That's pretty cool, but I think she is losing balance. Story 111. Literally, everything is amazing. Too much sperm during puberty? Adios. Cut or wound, give it a second or week, heals itself. Too much used food? Adios. Designed to run off the environment around us, air, water, and food. Of course, we had to overcomplicate the food thing. Sweat is amazing when you think about it built in AC. Darn near everything has a purpose or function except, to the best of my knowledge, the appendix. Story 112. Create a hybrid version of you and your partner. Each and every one of you has the potential to create the most important person to ever exist on this planet. Story 113. Have you seen the anatomy of a woman's pregnancy? The fetus literally crushes her insides. Like what in the actual fudge? How the fudge do they even survive that? Story 114. Forms a human being and gives birth. When I was pregnant, I read a lot of books on all the different stages of the fetus development. It truly is a miracle. Story 115. I think die. It's just a wonderful thing that everyone, no matter who and what and where they are, can just poof die. We came from nothing and go back to nothing. Beautiful. Story 116. Fingers are the coolest part in the human body. They are also the most underrated. We made almost everything with our hands, and in such an accuracy that there is a single machine that can do all the stuff combined that you fingers and hands can do. Story 117. The mind makes up vision even when it's completely blind. You can try this in front of a mirror. Look quickly back and forth at your left and right eyes. You feel your eyes moving, but your eyes look still. That's because your eyes are actually blind between the movements and your brain seamlessly fills in the gaps.